This is the Digital Shelf Insider podcast of Metrics Card. Hi all, welcome back to the Digital Shelf Insider podcast of Metrics Card. I'm your host Shrestha, and today I'm joined by Bindu Sharma and Hans Vivek. Both are founders at Wall1 Consulting. They've built and scaled multiple brands across ranges and categories in India. I'm very thrilled to have this conversation with both of them. If you remember, Bindu Sharma had joined us in one of our earlier episodes, and we discussed about the beauty, wellness, and fashion category, how it's growing in India, coupled with the quick commerce boost. So in this episode, we are exclusively discussing about the festive season that's arriving in India and how digital commerce is going to be handled by brands in this particular season, especially Diwali. We're recording about 2 months earlier. So these are mostly predictions and wild guesses of what's coming and what's rolling out in brand front on the digital commerce front. So yeah, let's get started. Hi, Bindu. Hi, Hans. Welcome to the podcast. Very awesome having you both this time here. How are you doing?
Hi, Shrestha. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast once again.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Hi, Shrestha. Good to be here. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. So this is a Diwali season exclusive episode, and we recording this about 1.5 months before. My first question for both of you is how early should brands actually start planning for Diwali campaigns in a year?
So there are two parts to the whole Diwali campaign, Shrestha. One is obviously the merchandise inventory part, and the other is the marketing campaign. The merchandise inventory part starts way in advance, almost a year in some cases. What to buy, how much to buy, new categories that are, showing traction and so on and so forth. But today we're actually discussing more to do with marketing than to do with inventory and merchandise. So let's get to the point straight. So at least 3 to 4 months in advance. So the ideation starts right up to 6 months before. By the 3 or 4 months before Diwali,
Yeah.
you start actually implementing some of your campaigns, which are more at that point of time. It's not like straight up saying, "Oh, I have a sale. Here's a Diwali deal." All of those things. That's not happening. But there's whole, subtle things starting because leading up to Diwali, before that, we have few more, festivities. So really, the season in India for the festival starts, let's say, from August onwards and goes up to right up to December then.
Yeah.
So your subtle campaigns start around then. So there's Rakhi, there's Janmashtami, there's Ganesh, all of those things before Diwali, and there's Navratri and so on and so forth. So yes, 3 to 4 months before, with smaller sort of like campaigns talking about products that are going to come in, the new deals that might be coming up or so on and so forth, but not so much. Then up to about say about 6 weeks before Diwali, that's when the real push in advertising starts. You start talking about product specific products that you're going to offer deals on, or the new products that are coming in, and all of those things. And of course, just before, it really peaks around 3 weeks before the Diwali.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it, right, Hans? Am I right there? Yeah. So that's how early brands should start or can start.
Yeah. Actually, the idea is more to launch awareness building campaigns.
For
You know, because sometimes during the festive season, people want to buy high ticket items.
Right.
And those, as we all know, they're high involvement products.
And there's a lot of gifting also,
Yeah.
right? So, and there's high ticket gifting as well.
Yeah.
So,
You're planning to gift somebody in your family a new laptop, you want to buy a new car.
that I like the sound of a new laptop.
Yeah.
Car,
Yeah.
you're not going to
Or
just
buying a new car,
Yeah.
that as well. So a lot of the electronics or appliances brands do push a lot of their deals or their new launches around this time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
today, are we going to talk specifically about fashion? Right. So let's,
No, even in fashion and lifestyle. If I talk about, let's say, lifestyle, home,
Yeah.
you want to buy something, you want to buy a dining table for yourself or a new bed.
Yeah.
That's also a high involvement purchase
and a high
Definitely.
and high ticket
That's right,
purchase.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
these awareness campaigns actually connect you to
Yeah.
that thought process and say, okay, now I'm ready to buy a bed. and this is the brand I want to buy it from. So I guess that's where what Bindu said comes into picture, that you have to start at least 3 to 4 months in advance, start subtly, and then take it as you go along.
Very interesting. So yeah, like Bindu mentioned that we're gonna talk a lot about fashion and lifestyle brands. You guys work so much with these brands. Tell me about product pages on marketplaces, D2C sites, and now quick commerce as well. What exactly should brands target it? Is it the visual appeal, the images that go up, or the bundling message, or the urgency building? I think it's a combination of all, but still, what do you guys think should be the focus in 2025?
I think one should answer that.
Yeah, I think you said it right. It has to be a mix of all.
Yeah.
And the things that are most important, obviously, as somebody smarter than me said it on the internet, that we buy images, we don't buy product,
Yeah.
especially in online.
Just like in offline shopping, we buy what's in the window. We don't really buy what's in the store.
Yeah, right. So
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the case of online or app-based shopping,
Yeah.
you buy images. So visually, things have to really stand out. The visually,
Right.
in Hindi we say "जो दिखता है वो बिकता है," and we our internal saying is "जो ज़्यादा अच्छा दिखता है वो ज़्यादा अच्छा बिकता है." So
Yeah.
product pages obviously should have your best shoots, best lookbooks. This is the time to really jazz it up.
Yeah.
And urgency triggers, because most of the shoppers at this time are spoiled by choice.
Yeah.
Like I said, you want to buy jewelry, there are so many brands to buy jewelry. You want to buy beauty, there are many brands to buy beauty and skincare products. So urgency triggers actually bring the customer back
Yeah.
from the analysis paralysis that's going on in their head, and
Yeah.
they want to know that if they like it, if they don't purchase or buy now, add to cart in the next 20 minutes or an hour, they're going to lose the deal. So that actually helps brands close the deal.
Yeah, that's true, actually. I mean, I missed the sale. It was only on 7 hours or something like that.
Yeah,
We thought of this in the West, actually.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving and Christmas, about 12 hours of deals or 6 hours deals. And then I want to buy something, and I tell my sister, she's like, how, you think I have time looking at my emails every time that this is a 6-hour deal or this is a 5-hour deal?
Yeah. Fact is, I don't know if you've seen it on these apps, the Q-commerce apps also, they have flash deals, right?
Yeah.
Before 11 o'clock, you can buy XYZ, and then after 11 o'clock, it's not available.
Yeah. A lot of FOMO.
Yeah, on a phone.
lot of
The word. Yes, FOMO is the word. And so these urgency triggers, they actually play into that FOMO part. Then comes the bundling messaging. See, the bundling messaging is very effective in terms of gifting, because if I'm sending something to you as a gift, I want to, if I just send one product, it looks a little impersonal. You
Right.
see, maybe you're my friend, I don't know much about you. So when I pull it together, if there's skincare, there's a CTM routine, and then those CTM products.
Right.
And also bundling helps with brands to let go of the slow movers.
Makes
Most of the time, through the year, if something has not sold well, maybe pair it up with the high selling, high ticket, fast.
Faster, yeah, fast mover.
Yeah.
You get rid of your slow moving inventory as well.
Inventory as well.
And
Yeah.
obviously, the most important piece is the SEO or the GEO now.
Right.
Yeah.
Many years now.
Yeah.
With the generative AI, SEO has now become GEO, and you have to optimize for that. You have to make sure that the Diwali keywords, terms, what products you are talking to, who you are talking to. So it's not just search based, it's intent based now.
Yeah.
So in terms of intent also, you have to really add that information in your product pages. Well, one quick way, a tip for everybody, whoever is listening, maybe go to Google, search for products in your similar category, and there's a section called, people also ask.
Oh, yeah.
So whatever questions are there, why don't you answer those in your product pages? Chances of you, showing up in the results for generative AI are also, fairly high.
Yeah, definitely. Let's talk a little bit about my favorite part. I love consumer psychology. Yeah, like decoding deeply what consumers are thinking, how they're perceiving, and what's failing among them. So, for Diwali and specifically to fashion and lifestyle brands, what do you think would be the consumer behavior around marketplaces and D2C sites? Anything different? Okay, you already mentioned GUs and EUs. That's changing the thing. It's going to become very conversational. Uh, yeah,
So,
No,
let me start.
no, you
Okay.
you start with marketplace and then I can come to your D2C sites.
yeah,
See, marketplaces, like we just discussed, during the festive season, there is so much choice for people to go and buy, and
Yeah.
that's not that's a feature. That's
Right.
what that's a feature. People want that. We
Yeah. They say,
yeah.
or dikhao,
Yeah.
or dikhao.
Yeah.
That's,
That's what we believe in.
so
Yeah.
when people go to marketplaces, the psychology, like you said, behind that customer buying behavior is actually for more choice. They
Yeah.
want to go to the marketplace. They get, yes, obviously they get deals, but they
Yeah.
also get to see so many more products. Like with
Right.
the example of beauty, if you said CTM, what kind of cleanser am I looking for?
Yeah.
What is the skin type? Even in a normal to a combination skin type, there are going to be hundreds of brands.
Right.
If you go to a D2C website, they might have three choices. And
Right.
for an Indian customer, that's not, unless I'm really invested in the brand,
Yeah. Yeah.
these three choices are not going to do anything for me, or
Yeah.
not the right choice for my friend. I need to really find the right product. Right?
Yeah. We're spoiled for choices.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that's a feature. We are
That's
brands are
not
actually
bug. Yeah.
yeah, brands are actually working in to create that because they
Yeah.
want looking for more choices. So people are there, more deal focused, looking for a wide variety of options, and they're drawn to marketplaces like Amazon and Flipkart and now Q-commerce also.
Right.
They offer one-stop shop for multiple brands, and attractive discounts. So you can just filter through the discount part and say, I need 50% and more. So, and this is where the brands can also leverage, high traffic to acquire new customers. For example, they
Yeah, marketplaces are like high streets, right? That's what the online world is about. So your marketplace is your high street that you would have in an offline scenario.
Yeah.
And that's where D2C sites will differ from will differ from how consumers shop with them or they market to consumers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I go to a D2C brand site, I want to be um a I have aspirational I have aspirations that I want to buy that particular brand.
Yeah.
One is that. Two is I know this brand is going to, as a customer, is going to spoil me. So,
Yeah.
the things like what D2C websites can do or brands can do is, personalized notes. Have if they're a skincare D2C brand, have like a beauty expert to advise you. If they are a fashion brand, have a fashion stylist to advise you what will go with what. Because a lot of the time I see people struggle. Like when I'm shopping offline, Shish, I don't know if it happens with you or not, but people who come to shop by themselves mostly,
Mhm.
and which is what you're doing online, or right, shopping yourself. They're like trying something and they're looking around. Will someone, can I ask someone how this looks?
Right. Right.
But you typically say, oh, that's looking really nice on you. And then you see that they're, oh my God, they're so happy with their choice or whatever. So have a fashion stylist
Yeah.
online and say, look, we offer this service. If you want it, it's free for you.
Yeah.
So, a D2C brand website will really gain from there because consumers go there because they want something extra.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not just I'll click on Amazon, I'll click on Flipkart, and I'll click on Myntra and buy this. But if I click on a brand's website, I want more than what they're offering to me on a D2C, on a marketplace.
Yeah, absolutely. Because
Website.
on marketplaces, they're optimized for all categories.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas D2C websites, if it's a home related home decor website or if it's a beauty website,
It's actually category specific and optimized for that
And
from
for that.
every point of view, not just from how they showcase the product, but how they engage with the consumer as well.
yeah,
That's
because like Bindu said, when you're trying the products, let's say if you are on a fashion website, the needs of the customers are very different. They might
Yeah.
want to try the product at home. They might want to get that service and say, okay, where can I schedule a try it at home service or something like that.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's a beauty website, you can't actually, that's not
But
important.
you can, you can talk about, okay, my skin type is like this, a beauty expert or somebody can help you. Okay, I have this cut. This is my color. What kind of what color of lipstick or nail paint will go, will suit me best, and so on and so forth. So that's really the shift in how consumers shop, or the difference in how consumers shop at two places.
Right.
Right.
I,
I
yeah. Please.
No.
Mm.
That's so that's about it. So and maybe dropping some minis or some extras
Yeah,
which they can't do on
you
Amazon.
can't do on Amazon. The little notes, the freebies. Like I recently, just to give you an example, I for the first time shopped online for some BG products. I
Yeah.
shopped products, I got 3 free with it, and I was like, okay, I didn't really ask for it, but I was happy to get it. I was like, not bad actually. I should shop with them on their website versus going to marketplaces or
Yeah.
So that could also be the game changer in a consumer deciding to shop with you, the brand directly versus going to another website to shop for their product.
Right. I really like how both of you stressed about, the personalization aspect that comes into play in D2C websites. And that brings me to a point that I guess when it comes to marketplaces, it might be also that, if people want to buy in bulk, like shop for a lot of people together, when they're not like aware completely about the likes and dislikes, it's more possible there. But when it's for the closest ones, it could be from a D2C side.
Yeah, that's an interesting point too. I
Yeah.
mean, 100% with you on that.
Because
Yeah.
I don't want, if there's a gift I'm sending for, let's say, my parents
Someone.
or someone, parents,
Yeah.
that I've shopped with this brand in the past. They have
Right.
given me excellent service, and I know they say it's delivered in 2 days. This will be delivered in 2 days, and I can rest assured that they will put in a beautiful note from my side, and write the names and all. Yeah, fantastic point. Yeah.
Right. This conversation would be incomplete like last time with when I were talking about quick commerce. It's incomplete if we don't talk about that. There's a lot of boom that's happening in this space. So how do you think brands are partnering this season with quick commerce platforms?
So I think I'll take the first half of that answer
Mhm.
and answer the second part.
Yeah.
I think the first, we fundamentally agree one thing, and e-commerce has changed the way we shop, both
Yeah.
offline and online.
Yeah.
FOMO, urgency, all of those are packaged as e-commerce, as Q-commerce now, and that's how we
Yeah.
shop. How will brands, and this is going to be the first real big Diwali where festive season where we don't have one Q-commerce who's big
Oh yeah.
nationally, but we have at least 3 of them who are big
Yeah.
nationally.
Yeah.
And going up to tier 2 towns actually now,
Oh, yeah.
and in certain cases tier 3 towns as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think while I'd love to answer with certainty, I think there's going to be a lot of data in the end of the festive season to then say, okay, this happened, but this didn't. I expected this to happen, this didn't happen. So the one way I think brands are going to tie up with Q-commerce companies is going to be advertising. So getting those eyeballs, they might not have all the product up there. They might want to actually shop from their own. They might want customers to shop from their own website, but advertising is going to be big across Q-commerce for pretty much all.
Yeah. See,
Yeah. Yeah.
like Bindu said, this is the first Diwali that I think Q-commerce apps are being taken seriously by the legacy as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed, if you go on Blinkit, if you have seen like a day or two before, since they started their Ganesh Chaturthi campaign,
Yeah.
they have a small slider kind of thing that moves, the trunk moves,
Yeah.
and you can see sponsored by Pepsi written. I was amazed. I have not seen, a legacy brand like Pepsi advertising to them. Or did that at the platform.
In such a specific way. So that's why I said there's going to be a lot of advertising.
This is the first real festive season or Diwali season where legacy brands are actually taking notice of Q-commerce apps and saying, okay, these are serious players now. Till now, they've been seen as okay. Not everybody was sure whether they'll go this way, that way, but with these kind of ads, we are now seeing that everybody is taking them seriously, as maybe more seriously than Amazon and Flipkart did that.
Actually, that's true. Yeah. I mean, I personally think that's going to be the game-changing thing this year.
And then one more point I would like to add here. Q-commerce apps are the new novelty thing to do,
Fresh
in tier
Right.
town.
I will give you an example. I was in a tier 2 town for a couple of days. And my God, Blinkit has launched there about 6 months ago. And
Yeah.
when months back, nobody was talking, and now everyone was like, "Oh, have you know Blinkit? Do you know Blinkit? Do you know Blinkit?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do."
Yeah.
And they're like, "You know what? It's made life so much easier for us. We shop with them all the time, and so on." And so forth." And I was like, "Okay,
And then they're amazed. They're like,
Yeah.
this, I would put this, example of when people used to come to Delhi and
Yeah.
Delhi Metro was new.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to get on the Delhi Metro, even though they didn't
Yeah.
go anywhere, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I know that time. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the case with, Q-commerce apps in these tier two towns.
Yeah.
yeah, they literally are the shiny new toy. Like
Yeah.
people I would never have thought will shop with them
Yeah.
Yeah.
are shopping with them."
Yeah. And they're saying, let me order this now. You see, you'll come to my house and let.
Yeah, no. And the funniest is I was at a prayer meeting for someone at their place, and this is at the end of the first year prayer meeting.
Right.
Since somebody had passed away, and I literally saw a couple of Blinkit bags coming there, and I'm looking out and saying, "What's happening here?" And then the person's place it was, he said, "Oh, we ran out of something, so we just
Yeah. So
I'm like,
last one. Yeah.
okay, this is it. Seen it all now."
So I think both of us believe that it is going to be a great one when it comes to Q-commerce for this festive season.
Right. What happens to fashion brands specifically, though? Like, do you think we spoke about personalization also? Do you think there will be a flexibility in mindset of shoppers that, okay, I can buy this in 15 minutes, I can take that quick decision kind of thing? Do you think there would be impulse buys in this category?
First, you tell me, would you shop in 50 minutes? I mean, time, right?
This is a tough one.
Even though the 5 people are going to, so you know the outfits you want, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so say they say that's a tough one, but do you think about it? Like, are you thinking that I don't really have to make a decision right now. I can get it in 50 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that something that you think about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very picky and choosy and slow with how I pick online. So yeah, it's tricky for me though.
No, so I think the answer to that will lie in how well Q-commerce in fashion can deliver or set up like inventory or ramp up. Is that not so much a setup, but ramp up.
Yeah.
But having said that, I think 90% or 95% of the sales for fashion will still be done way in advance and not 50 minutes or an hour before.
Right.
Two reasons. Apparel is about fitting, right? You can possibly, I mean, maybe you'll have male shoppers buying kurtas because that's not so, okay, theek hai, ek size idhar udhar, I mean, I'll live with it. But for women, it's like it has to fit me well.
Yeah.
So unless I know that this brand makes the perfect size for me, or their medium fits me, or they're small or they're large, I'm not going to buy.
Yeah.
So I think we're a little far away from that right now. But yes, some part of it might shift between, maybe I'm saying 5%, maybe that's a lot,
Yeah.
but could be.
Yeah.
And I read, adding on to that men's shopping psychology part. See, actually, if you know what size fits you for, usually it's easier. If I know I want a large for, let's say, a shirt, and that specific brand is available,
Right.
there's no harm in buying and if I can get in like next 10 minutes or like say even 15 or 20 minutes, I'd be okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, but fortunately for us, parties are planned way in advance. Everybody sends out invitations. So how many things you have to go to and how many outfits you will need.
Yeah.
One outfit you definitely need is for the day of Diwali, and the second outfit for the day of Bhai Dooj, which is 2 days later.
Right.
You at least know those two outfits. So maybe, a last minute party, I'd probably, I won't, but, but
Exactly.
And one big thing, I think they're also these Q-commerce platforms, they're working tirelessly on the returns side of the things.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
think if that becomes as seamless as the delivery, I think people would be more open to trying it out. Because imagine if you buy something that you love on the app and you get delivered in 10 minutes, you can try it in the next 10 minutes and you are able to return it or get it exchanged within the next half an hour. I think
That's
I don't want to think about what that traffic on the road.
right now the logistics of that are going to
Are
be
just crazy,
phenomenal. It's crazy. But I think I read about it somewhere. We were talking
couple of more Balis probably.
But they are working on it.
Yeah.
So I think we should, like you said, couple more Diwalis and hopefully we should have it.
Right. Very interesting times to be around. Uh, what are the category breakouts we would possibly see this season, like especially with ethnic wear, jewelry, men's fashion thing?
My favorite topic right now, actually, with all that's happening around,
Yeah.
I think the three big breakout categories, and maybe the third one's not that big, but first, only fragrance.
Yeah.
Everyone and their friends are buying fragrance, are launching D2C brands in fragrance,
Almost every day.
almost
Yeah.
sharing new
Yeah.
brand, right?
Yeah.
Second is jewelry, sort of like, so whether it's lab grown diamonds or it's, you're looking at silver jewelry, demi-fine jewelry, semi-fine jewelry, you name it. Everybody is, that's the other category that everybody's got a lot of interest, both from the brand point of view and from a consumer point of view.
Yeah.
And third, not so much, but to a certain extent, is of course we're talking about fashion here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So more sort of like a fashion that's appealing to a younger generation, say a Gen Z and
Gen Z.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the third category, which is only going to pick up over the next, the next couple of years. So yeah, these are the three breakout categories I think that are going to see a lot of growth and a lot of sales through the festive season.
Yeah. Most, you'll see more and more new age brands
Yeah.
coming in all these categories.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I have one last question for you guys, and that's about the regional language context that plays into, these brands when they put out their digital content in marketplaces, D2C sites, as well as on quick commerce. How relevant is that? I mean, I've seen that with snack brands, when they write the regionally relevant, Hindi word or the Malayalam word, it kind of clicks with the audience. So how is it going to play out? Especially
Oh, yeah.
Diwali.
I mean, regional language is extremely important for a deep connection and market penetration in that particular region. But I'm going to Hans answer the rest of it because the two of us often have conversations there. How much impact do regional languages make? What impact do regional languages have? Do they make or break the brand success in that region?
Yeah, absolutely. See, it's more about the brand building connection.
Yeah.
You're speaking to an audience in their native language. Yeah, somebody's talking to me Hindi, Punjabi, like you said, Malayalam, and that their native language creates a sense of comfort, familiarity, and trust. It shows that the brand gets them. इनको पता है मुझे क्या चाहिए, and understands their local culture, right?
Yeah.
So on my phone, if I get a notification saying Momo's at 30%, and the second notification I get is Hans, Momo khaoge? And suddenly, you're like, oh, this is interesting. Zomato's doing that exceedingly well. If you see billboards, if they're in the south, all the, all the languages that are, in the Malayalam, Tamil and all, and everybody can, they connect, immediately connect. Whereas in the north, you have Hindi, Punjabi and all the languages. People, when people talk, again, hyper personalization, right?
Right.
You want them to connect to the brand. And second, this is about higher engagement. So data, if you see on the internet, there's a lot of data that shows that how regional content leads to higher engagement. There was a report by MGID. I don't know if you've read it now. It said about 88% of, Indian language internet users are more likely to engage with digital ads in their native language or local language vis-a-vis English or some other language. So that's very
interesting. Yeah. No, it's, I mean, just thinking about where a tier 2 city customer, like he or she looks at the app and it says something to them in their language, like, oh, ye to bahut badhiya wala hai, ye to, I love this, or, whichever language it may be. Languages connect people anyway.
Yeah.
So regional languages being a brand accepting or trying to connect with the consumer in their regional language is a given.
You feel you feel more comfortable, and they know, okay, this brand gets me. Chances of them coming back to the brand are higher because they feel
Yeah. I mean, I would love to appreciate the efforts of the teams that's working behind for these
Oh,
brands.
absolutely. The
Like
team-
north, south, east, west, like so many languages to crack, and you need to get the messaging right as well, right? So that it clicks with the audience.
Yeah, absolutely.
that
yeah.
you're going to be totally wrong as well, as they've seen many times.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
The hits and misses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Three languages definitely are a great connect.
That's a way.
Yeah. Wow, what an awesome conversation with you both. Bindu, we've had the conversation before and I totally loved it. And we still get comments and likes on our previous episode. I'm going to link it somewhere in this video. So, yeah. So, and thank you so much, Hans, for joining us. Like, thank you, both of you, for taking out this time.
Pleasure. Thank you so much, Shrestha. I think we enjoyed the conversation and looking forward to many more and all the very best.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess we should do one every year, season exclusive kind of episode.
Yeah. Spring, summer, what's in, what's not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, thank you so much.
Thanks.
It's lovely to be back on your podcast again, and wishing you a really great and a very successful festive season.
Yeah. Likewise.
Wishing everybody,
Wow.
whoever is have the chance to listen to this podcast, wish everybody a fantastic and successful festive season.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We've come to the end of the episode. If you loved what you just listened to, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back next Monday with a really awesome guest. Stay tuned until then.